Hi everyone, my name's Andrew. Thanks for joining me for my lesson today. Could you all put your hands up to say that you're willing to be recorded for this session? Okay, thank you very much for that.
Did you take a screenshot?
Yeah, I'll just do a screenshot. That's in the, where did I see that? That's in the docs button, isn't it? No.
No, after on the same line as the escape key, right at
Oh,
the
that's
end, the
right.
other
Yep.
opposite end.
So print screen. Oh, yep. And I just click
Good.
on the camera. Everyone's ready. Okay.
That's cute, Lorenz.
How does that work? How do you take the photo?
I did one for you, Andrew. So, but have another go. It should just flash like that. Try again.
It's not working.
That's it. I got one for you.
Okay. All right. We know that we're all here. I'll also do that. I just took
Good.
a photo with my phone.
Good on you.
Okay. Um, okay. Today I will just share my screen. This one. Okay, can you all see my screen? Everyone seems to have frozen. Are we all
No,
still here?
no, nothing. Oh yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, yeah, it just froze for a minute. Okay, good. So the two sessions today, actually, before we get too carried away, I am going to hit the timer. Yep, so for our two sessions today, they're going to be based on this unit of competency, VU 23320, identify and handle carpentry tools. The first session is going to involve mainly just identifying the tools. We'll go through a bit of a list, we'll do a bit of a quiz, and we'll have a bit of a discussion as well. And for the second lesson, we're going to talk about the safety aspects of using all the different carpentry tools or selected carpentry tools. And just do a bit of a quiz about that and talk about the correct PPE to wear or recommended PPE to wear for each of these tools. Um, Next up, just to start us off, um, I am going to just open this other screen. Control and click.
You might have to stop sharing, Andrew, and then upload your other one.
Yeah, yep, I'm getting there. Stop that one. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay. Essential carpentry tools. This is just a bit of a list that we're going to just quickly run through. And then after we run through it, we'll do a little bit of a quiz together. Um, And in this list of tools, there's not going to be any specific brands. They could even be brands that we don't have here in Australia. But at the end of the day, a drill's a drill and a saw is a saw. They have their little different quirks for the different brands, but they should all basically do the same thing. Carpentry tools. Well, this is a hand tool. This is one of the most important carpentry tools, used for hammering nails in and pulling nails out. These days, to a degree, hammers are a little bit superseded by the nail gun, which we will see a picture later on. But we still need to use a hammer sometimes to punch a nail in that a nail gun hasn't shot in properly. Tape measure. This one looks like it's an American tape measure. It's in inches, feet and inches, but in Australia we use millimeters and meters. Measuring square. We need it for drawing a straight line. Chisels. Chisels can be used for multiple applications. For chopping holes in pieces of timber, for doing hinges on doors in the timber frames. We're not actually going to get to use any of these tools today, but hopefully looking at it visually, we'll get a bit of an idea of what they're all for. Rubber mallets. I use a rubber mallet at work often if I'm wanting to hit a piece of timber without dinting it. If you use your proper metal hammer, it puts dints all through the timber, and your client who you're doing the job for probably won't be impressed with all these little hammer marks in the finished product of the timber. Unless it's just for framing application that gets hidden behind plaster and wall cladding, then it doesn't matter. But for more finishing applications, it's a good idea often to use a rubber mallet. And another good idea is to not use a black one, because the black one puts marks on your timber. So I will often use a white one instead.
Can I ask a question? Is it the same force as a metal hammer?
Generally, yes, but the rubber gives it that bit of impact. You can get different size rubber mallets. So there's some really small ones which might not have as much force as a hammer. You can get some really big ones that can almost have as much force as a big sledgehammer. So it just depends on the size. And often when you're using a rubber mallet in joinery applications, you're not wanting to hit it too hard anyway. And if you have to, there's probably something not quite right with what you're doing. We'll go on next to the handsaw. Before power tools come out, we use that to cut timber for nearly every application. Back saw. This is also called a tenon saw. The blade on this saw is stiff, whereas the previous saw, the blade on that has a bit of flexibility, so you could actually bend that blade on that saw. And that's for just general cutting, like if you're cutting some framing timbers, whereas the back saw or tenon saw, as they're known, can be used for more joinery applications. Probably rarely used these days with the power tools that we use these days, takes their place. However, occasionally there may be instances where we're required to use one of them. Curve cutting saw. This can be used for cutting circles. There's also another type of saw similar to this called a coping saw, which would be more for finer applications like doing your moldings, skirting boards, where you've got to cut out a curved shape. This is a thicknesser, this picture here. They also call it a type of planer. timber gets feeded through that, and it turns it from a rough sawn piece of timber to a smoothly dressed piece of timber. Sharpening stone, we use them to sharpen our chisels after they've been sharpened on the grinder. And this is a grinder, so you start off your chisel sharpening on one of these grinding wheels. I won't go through the details in that because that is a totally different lesson. And then after that, we finish it on the stone. This is an old school drill. If you don't have power tools or a cordless drill, this is how we used to drill holes. You won't see many of them anymore unless you're doing some bush carpentry. Screwdrivers, they're pretty self-explanatory, and even a lot with screwdrivers we do with an impact driver or a cordless drill these days. Clamps, clamping two bits of timber together, clamping two bits of timber together that have been glued to be glued together, and also just to hold a piece of timber in place while you put a screw in or put a nail in. Here we go. Here's a power drill. This looks like a pretty cheap handyman drill. The home do-it-yourselfer may have a drill like this. This is a jigsaw. So the same as what we saw with the coping saw hand tool, a jigsaw will cut a circle out for you, but it's plugged into power or a battery. And generally that would be my choice before getting the hand saw method out. Circular saw, this is probably one of the main tools that we use in carpentry. Can be used for cutting a lot of things. Cutting framing timber, cutting particle board like they're cutting in that picture in a straight line. A router. A router has many applications. It can be used to take the place of a chisel. Some carpenters use it for doing door hinges. Other carpenters use it for rounding edges on pieces of timber, or putting grooves in pieces of timber. Sander, that is a basic palm sander. We can also get an orbital sander, which has a round disc on it, which does a similar thing to this sander. And then we have a belt sander, which has a belt on it, which does more heavy-duty sanding. This is a joinery tool called a biscuit joiner. See those little oval biscuit-shaped bits of timber sitting on his workbench there? That's a biscuit. And that little machine puts a little groove in the pieces of timber. Two pieces of timber that are next to each other with a biscuit in it. That's, you might have heard of a dowel before, which is a round wooden peg that goes into a piece of timber. A biscuit is just another option instead of using a dowel. You can also do a dowel using a drill. But a biscuit joiner is a little bit more accurate and a little bit more of a stronger fit for your timber. This is a bench saw. So you can see him pushing with a stick there for safety of a small piece of timber as it's going through the blade on the table saw. That can be something we talk about in the second session for safety. On this picture, they've called this a radial arm saw. That appears to be a metal drop saw used for cutting metal. A bandsaw. Any of you who done any of my lessons for my delivery, my 30-minute sessions for that, we used a metal bandsaw for cutting some metal. It'll cut aluminium or wrought iron, but they won't cut stainless steel. And this next picture is a electric planer. like the thickness of planer that we saw as the box earlier on, this is a planer that we can manually use for, say, shaving the edge off a door or something like that, or shaving some of the framing on site so that a wall frame, for example, can be used for straightening the stud on a wall frame, which is one of the verticals in a wall frame. A planer can be used for that and for other joinery applications. A lathe, this is more of a joinery tool. You might have seen wood turners in action. They use a lathe with some different chisels and it spins the timber around and they cut it with some chisels. Pencil, we need to be able to mark our lines on our timber that we're going to cut with our circular saw or radial arm saw. This is for a hand tool, a miter box. So if you don't have a radial arm saw or drop saw, if you're going to use a hand tool, this will cut an accurate 45-degree angle. You also see plasterers use these for cutting cornice, which is the molding that goes around the ceiling. A bench hook, yeah, this is a vise that attaches to a workbench if you're doing a joinery application. Just going to flick through the rest of these because some of these tools have specific applications that not all carpenters will use. Dust extraction, this is for in a workshop setup, a workbench, pegboard, that's for a workshop. A tool belt, this is something that I do use on a daily basis out on a building site. Each pouch, you can put your chisels, your tape measure. I've got a pocket for my hammer. In each compartment, I might have one for different screws or nails that I use, so they're quickly accessible. And I find if I'm not wearing a tool belt out on site, I feel a bit lost because I'm forever searching for the screws that I want. But having the tool belt on you just gives you easy access. Here's some PPE, some safety glasses, earmuffs, hearing protection, respirator. This is for dust protection from breathing in toxic dusts. Hair ties. Picture is not here on these, but we might just leave this here. I'm going to just stop sharing this screen for a minute. Before I move on to the quiz we're going to do together, does anyone have any questions about carpentry tools or any of the tools that we looked at, or potentially any other tools we haven't looked at that you're interested in? All happy? Okay.
Is it possible sorry, Andrew. Is it possible to share the website in the chat?
I can do that. I can put that
Yeah,
in.
thank you. Thank you.
I'll do that right now. I'll just pop it in the chat. There's probably many other sites out there like this. This was just one that I found. It's not letting me copy it.
Sometimes I do framing for my artworks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason. Sometimes I want to buy something from Bunnings and I don't know the name of the tools, so it's making it a bit hard.
Yeah, yep. I think you'll find with your artwork, the people, are you talking for picture frames? Yeah, there's actually a specialist tool that people use for picture frames. It's like a guillotine, and that's all they do. They only do picture frames. There's years ago, I did work with another labourer or carpenter that did get into doing picture frames, and that's all he did. And a husband of another client of mine who was an artist up in Hillsville, he just did picture frames. His wife had all the artwork in the gallery, and he went to the gallery with her to check out all the picture frames, but not the artwork. But he was forever looking at the picture frames, which I found a bit comical. But anyway, we'll move on from there. I'll place that in the chat for you.
Thanks.
And I will just open up this next quiz that we're going to do together. Just bear with me for a second. Control, click. Okay. Let's get this up here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. I'll get you all to take yourselves off mute because we're going to verbally do this quiz together. And maybe we'll take it in turns in answering the question. Okay. I'll just scroll up. Who wants to do this first answer? The most popular woodworking tool used for carving work, joinery, cutting edges, among many other things. How about you go first, Renee, and have a go at answering this question?
I didn't see it there though. I want to say jointer, but I didn't see it on
Yep.
your thing.
Yeah. Nope.
No.
The router. So the router will cut the edges and carve things out. So the router is the correct answer for that one. That's okay. We're not experts yet. Okay. You can go next, Louise. This tool makes cuts in wood with a spinning circular blade whose angle can be adjusted. So we've got a. Which one was that?
Chainsaw.
Let's see. The answer is a miter saw. Yeah, chainsaw is for rough cuts. Yeah, the miter saw, like a circular saw, has the spinning blade.
Was the miter saw on your list?
That would have been under the radial arm saw. A miter saw is another name for a radial arm saw or a drop saw. And another option on here with a spinning circular blade could have been a circular saw. That's okay. We're not getting marked on our right or wrong answers, so that is fine. Your turn next, Effie. This tool attaches two pieces of wood by cutting a narrow hole in the edge of each piece into which the wooden biscuit covered in glue is inserted. So we've got a biscuit welder, biscuit attacher, or biscuit joiner.
Biscuit attacher.
That's the joiner.
Joiner.
Joiner, that's your final answer?
No, that's mine. Effie can say what she likes.
I just said by chance.
Okay.
Honestly.
It was the biscuit joiner.
Yeah, okay.
That one I remembered.
Yeah.
Okay, this comes in a pistol grip. I think I'll leave it open for whoever wants to answer first now that we've all had a go. Comes in a pistol grip, T-shape, right angle, handle styles. So we've got a handsaw, power drill, or disc sander. So a tool that has a T shape. Have a guess.
Well, a handsaw can have different shapes, but a power drill is pretty much the same.
Power drill?
No,
Correct.
I said,
Oh.
I thought it was a handsaw.
Well, I guess a handsaw could have a pistol grip, and a power drill could have a pistol grip as well. Um, I think the thing that gave it away for me was the T shape. The drill can have a bit of a T shape to it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember for a power drill.
Yeah. Some of these questions are a little bit left of field, but we'll go through. This wasn't a tool we looked at, but we'll have a go. This uses compressed air to tighten a nut or bolt. Air wrench, impact wrench, or power wrench?
I don't know what it's called, but I'm just going, it's that thing that does your tires, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm just saying air wrench because of the air in the question.
yep, yep. Um, let's see. Impact wrench.
Impact wrench.
Yeah, there is an air wrench as well. I would have probably accepted that answer, but you can also get an air impact wrench as well. And you can
Okay.
also this you can also get a cordless impact wrench that doesn't run on compressed air. So
Okay.
I think with the new technology and tools coming out, some of these tools are starting to get superseded, a bit like some of our units of competency in our course we're learning. Tools are becoming obsolete, and there's newer, better tools coming out all the time. Um, this can cut curves on custom shape and custom shapes into wood. Jigsaw, radial arm saw, or miter saw.
Jigsaw.
Jigsaw.
That would be my choice as well, and that is correct. Bit far then. These are available in a stick or coil style. We didn't go through this in the tools. But I'll give you as a bit of a hint. The stick or the coils that these bits of hardware go in the tool. So these are fixing hardware like a screw or nail, and they can come in a stick or a coil.
A nail gun. I don't know a hammer drill, but I do know a nail gun.
That's correct. So you can get nails that come in a stick that are paper glued together, and you can also get them in a coil for different types of guns for shooting different types of things. So that's correct. This spins a piece of wood, um, like wood or glass, so you can create a symmetrical object. This one was on the little list that we went through, this tool.
Rotary tool.
Yeah, I would say rotary tool as well, but I don't know.
Yep. The answer is actually the lathe.
The lathe. Okay.
Yeah, there was the wood turning tool that would,
From the ancient Egyptians.
yeah. And back in the day, they used to probably use a horse and a cart with different pulleys and like a treadmill to run something like a lathe.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. This tool has a selection of bits for cutting, carving, polishing, and sanding.
My husband calls that a grinder, but I don't. I mean that might not be its right name.
Rotary tool.
Rotary tool.
Yeah. But I would still accept a grinder because you can get all sorts of attachments for a grinder that can do all that. Okay, this tool has blades that cuts with a push-pull motion. Okay, we did not go through this tool,
Reciprocating.
but that's correct. That's correct. The reciprocating saw is like a giant knife that has a blade that goes backwards and forwards. So that is correct. We've finished this quiz. So
Good luck next time.
our time is almost up. Some of the questions in this particular quiz were a little bit superseded with newer technology that's out these days. However, it still gave us a pretty good idea of some of the different carpentry tools that we use. Okay, just before I wrap this session up, I'm just going to send you all an email just with a little activity that just has 3 questions to answer, 3 true or false questions to answer. And then if you can just answer those questions and email it back to me, that would be great. So I'll do that now, and I'm going to stop recording now. Where is the recording button? Here it is. Okay.